Welcome to Talking Grit, a Detroit Lions podcast. Powered by the Monroe County Reporters. Here are your hosts, Jason Harwood and Jacob Litton.
We are here. This is Talking Grit. You are seeing me, Jason Harwood, and that guy over there, Jacob Litton. If you're watching us on TV, if not, you're just hearing our voices. So, Jacob, that was a weird intro, but
What
interesting one at all.
Were you trying to be awkward and weird? I don't understand. I was waiting for something crazy. It's like, oh, he just went with a awkward and slow one. Okay.
You know why? Because I totally forgot what I was changing it each time. So,
Oh, okay.
I just did that off cuff, and that's why it's awkward and weird.
Just-
But that's mostly because I'm awkward and weird. But
Exactly right. You didn't have time to prepare, so you just went with being. It's like I'm just going to be myself.
totally natural, man.
Uncomfortable.
Totally natural. Yeah. Yep. That's what it's like being in a conversation with me. What's going on, man? What's happening last week? What's shaking for you?
So we actually have the championship weekend for baseball is coming up. So our team made the playoffs. Milo's team, he is in the 8 or 9U. So we made the playoffs. We are in the top 4. Possibly a long day ahead on Saturday. We got a game Saturday morning. If we win that, we have another game later Saturday afternoon.
Okay.
But this is the last weekend for baseball, so he's excited about it. We're hoping for the best. And then we also went and saw Toy Story recently. So that's what I've been up to. I don't know if you're planning on going to see that, but
Yeah, we wanted to see it last weekend, ran out of time, but our plan is to see it on Saturday, and I might double dip the theater and see Supergirl. So, because I really want to see that movie. So, I do want to point out your new background. You got to share with me. You got a Kelvin Johnson that's signed, right? That
it
jersey
is.
signed.
That's one of the first signed jerseys I got was Calvin Johnson. And I
Okay.
put that in a case, and it's been floating around in my garage and other various places. So I said, you know, that deserves to be on the wall back here behind in the office. So, yes.
What about the other Lions, the Ford Field thing behind you?
This was a Father's Day gift from Deanna and the kids.
Yeah.
So that also works perfectly. Nice backdrop instead of that flag.
Yeah. No, it looks great. It's like it's 3 separate pictures, right? Put together into
It
one?
is. Yep. I just put them really close. It actually is 5, but I didn't have enough room to put the sides, and that was kind of irrelevant.
Yeah.
It was just the outside of the, the stadium on this side and the other side.
Okay.
But you get the gist here.
Yeah. No, it
Thank
looks
you,
great,
right?
man. Yeah. Looks cool. So
We're
this
coming
week
along.
we were going to do our position series, continue that, and we still will, but just not today because obviously big news broke on Terrion Arnold, which we'll talk about later on. Not just about like the arrest, but the Lions' plans ahead, how we feel. We got a lot of stuff we want to go into there. We got some people, we got some comments this week we're going to hit. The NFL Top 100 is coming out. A couple people have already dropped. We're going to, talk about what we expect from the Lions, what we expect from the division. But first, we were going to do Tuesday. Obviously, we're recording this on Thursday, which is a little different for us. But we were going to do it Tuesday. Decided to back it up a couple days, which actually was fortuitous for us because of the Terrion Arnold stuff. So we didn't, have to do an extra pod. But why did we back it up on Tuesday? The NBA draft was on Tuesday, and Jacob wants to talk a little bit about that. So why don't you start us out there, Jacob?
First, did you watch the NBA draft or no?
I did not. I was watching mostly a Tiger game actually, and then I was keeping track of the draft on my phone.
Yeah. It's completely different from the NFL draft. And I know that I've talked to you about this before. I hate the NBA draft just because of the trades. I like watching the NBA draft. I do not care for the way the trade system works, and therefore that kind of ruins a draft. Yeah. So, for instance, the Pistons, the guy that we technically traded up and drafted him, and he's a guard, Ibuka Okori is who we drafted. Mm-hmm. But we had to trade with the Thunder. So the Thunder made that pick. So then Ibuka goes up on stage with a Thunder hat. The Thunder announced the pick. He's got the Thunder hat on. He does his interview with the Thunder hat, and then he gets traded. I actually believe he got traded to like the Timberwolves, and the Timberwolves traded him to us. There was some sort of avenue where he had to go through before he became a Piston. And then the Pistons pick, we had to draft a player. I forget his name now.
Lopez.
Yeah, Lopez. So we had to draft him. So then he puts on the Pistons hat. He comes up there, takes the picture. He's talking. He does an interview with the Pistons hat. We'll never play. Well, I can't say never, but obviously he's not going to play for the team right now.
Yeah.
That's so backwards the way that they do that. That is what ruins the draft for me.
Yeah. I think it's annoying too. It's so funny that you mentioned the convoluted nature of that draft. I was looking on phone and I couldn't tell who we drafted. Like who's on our actual team because it like
Yeah.
the things all over the place. And so like I had to, go into Reddit and Twitter just to verify who we drafted. And then the next day at work we have our teams chat that we're talking on. And one of the guys that, is a sports guy he was like, "Well, so Jason, what do you think about Kareem Lopez?" And I'm like, that he's a Memphis Grizzly? What? I don't
Yeah.
care about Kareem Lopez.
Yeah.
And so I had to explain it, and then a couple of the girls were like, "Yeah, we tried to follow the draft and we couldn't. The trade system." I was like, "You're trading draft rights. It's like really confusing. Like in case the guys go internationally, you can get them when they come back to the United States. I don't know why they do it this way. It's so annoying that you just can't trade picks. The NBA or the Major League Baseball, you can't trade picks. Like the NFL, you could trade, I'm going to trade 2 first round, next year's first round, this year's to move up in this draft. That's not how these other sports work. Baseball, they recently made it so you could trade like compensatory picks, but you can't trade like, you know, now the CBA is changing, so maybe they'll change that. Then, that's one thing that makes the NFL draft so exciting is be able to trade picks and stuff like that.
Right. Then yeah, the NFL's got it right. The
Yeah.
NBA, it's funny too because after the first round, they have the best available, similar to how they do with the NFL. And then you see the draft board for the second round. So I looked to try to see like where the picks were laid out in the second round. Every single pick except for one had been traded at least one time. And some had been like 2 or 3 times.
Yeah.
So this pick is Golden State Warriors via the Minnesota Timberwolves, via the Utah Jazz, via the Chicago Bulls. It's like, are we kidding? Like, why does it have to be like that?
Yeah.
So yes, that's just completely backwards way they do that, and it kind of ruins the draft experience. I will say this year they kind of did not ask them questions specific for the team for the most part.
Okay.
Sometimes they did, but it seemed like they were kind of leaning into the players' individual backstories and things like that instead of, because you don't want to call them up. You don't want to call up Kareem Lopez and ask how he's going to help the Pistons and how is he looking forward to working with Cade Cunningham, because all that's irrelevant 3 minutes later. But one of the reasons we wanted to watch the draft more closely this year was because of the Michigan players that were in there. Right,
Yeah.
we're rooting for the Michigan players. We want to see where they go. It was surprising to me that Morez Johnson was the first one off the board.
Yes.
But that was great for him, and then he ended up going to the Mavericks with Dusty May. So Michigan's basketball coach left to go to the Dallas Mavericks. The timing of that was really weird. So he went to the Mavericks the day before the draft. So we were wondering, is he going to be even in the room? Like, how do you work alongside these people and try to build your team when you don't even know everybody's name that's in there with you? Turns out he was actually at the draft to support his players. So they went with Morez Johnson, so that was awesome for him. And then not long after that, which is funny, I texted you. I said,
Yeah.
Ade Mara is going to go to the Warriors and Yak go to OKC. I had it backwards. So Yaxel Lendeborg went to the Golden State Warriors at 11, and then Ade Mara went to the Oklahoma City Thunder right after that at 12. And did you see Dusty May's reaction? Did you watch? I know you didn't watch the draft, but they were zoomed in on him when they announced the pick for Mara. Obviously, because he's coaching the Mavericks, so he's gonna have to play against these guys. And then when he heard Mara's name, he kind of hit his hands together, like, man.
Yeah.
It's a conflicting spot. You want your player to do well, you want him to see him succeed, but you don't want him to go help the team that you're trying to overtake.
Yeah. I wanted Yaxel to be in a Pistons jersey somehow, some way. I knew he wouldn't last all the way to 21, but I was hoping that there'd be a way that we would end up getting him. He would have been great.
I know. The guy we got, he's quick. I think he's only like 6'2", but he's quick. He definitely can create his own shot. He's good at three, and that's what we need. Need somebody that can threaten and somebody that can score. Yeah. And honestly, the players, if you're not a lottery pick, the players in the second half of the first round are all kind of just expected to be depth pieces. Barring injury and things like that, some of them will not even see much playing time at all, which is something else that's different from the NFL where bigger rosters, different things like that, you can be, the end of the first round pick is still very valuable and still could be an impact player. Not always the case with the NBA.
Yep. Yeah, second round picks are like almost throwaway picks, to be honest with you. Speaking of
Unless
second
you
round
draft
picks,
Jokic.
yeah, three second round picks for Isaiah Stewart. So it's been like a tough week for like you and I. First Dusty May leaves, and then Isaiah Stewart gets traded, and then Terrion Arnold. The arrest comes down like literally like
Yeah.
an hour after the Isaiah Stewart thing. So we're going through it, but everyone that's probably listening to this podcast is going through it at somewhat. So let's move on to some of the comments that we got this week. I'm going to start out with Jeffrey Jennings. We haven't heard from him before, so thanks for reaching out to us. I'll read his message here. It says, I found you guys in late July of 2024. Have listened to you ever since. I'm a teacher, but on breaks, I deliver packages for Amazon, and listening to your podcast makes the 10-hour days a little more bearable. Keep up the great work. First of all, thanks for listening. Second of all, I feel bad that if he's got to deliver packages because he's a teacher, it just speaks that we don't pay our teachers enough in this country. God, they're so
Yeah,
important to
right.
like the development of our kids. And, maybe he's doing it for exercise money. Maybe it's not necessary, whatever. I just wish that we paid our teachers better so that they didn't have to do those type of activities and could, be out living life instead of working. But we appreciate you, send us a message and, Jacob, why don't you go to the next one because I think this is a hilarious message.
Yes, this one actually made me laugh out loud. This was good. So we did more Spider-Man talk in the last episode. So then we had a comment from Jake Strand saying, Uncle Ben dies? Wow, thanks for ruining Spider-Man for me. I thought that was hilarious when I read that. And then he says, good job on the podcast, guys. Love the show. Keep up the good work. That was a great comment, Jake.
Yeah, Jake messages a lot, and we appreciate it. I focus on the word ruining right away, and like I knew we had talked about Disclosure Day, and my first thought was like, oh my god, I said something I shouldn't have because I was very careful to not like. I didn't think to ruin anything, and I was like, oh my god. And then I read the whole message, and yes, I laughed out loud. So thanks for messaging us, Jake. Now the next message, Jacob, I don't know, I'm reading into it too much, but it comes from my name is M. So it's obviously Eminem. It's even got my name is.
Clearly.
So it's like clear as day to me that Eminem
And
listens to our podcast.
the circle says M, like
Yeah.
maybe his real name is Marshall. So
Right. Yes.
all the dots are there. We just have to connect them.
It's just there. So what up, Slim Shady? Appreciate you listening to the show. No, M says, love the show and love the banter, guys. I'm absolutely going to say Disclosure Day because aliens rule and Emily Blunt rules. Emily Blunt does rule. She's a very good actress. Edge of Tomorrow. I don't know if you've ever seen that. That's a great movie that Emily Blunt is in. Tom Cruise, Emily Blunt. If you haven't seen that, that's Aliens and Emily Blunt. Go watch it.
Does Emily
yeah,
Blunt do a lot of alien movies?
I don't know if she does. Well, is she's in like
Is the Quiet Place
Quiet
aliens?
Place. I don't
Right.
know anything about it, but I think it is. So yeah, Emily Blunt must love aliens. So
All right.
all right, Jacob. Well, let's get to the Lions talk. We're 15 minutes into this podcast. We are going to break into Lions talk. The Lions are adding to their roster again. And who do we add, Jacob?
Constantly have to be looking, right?
Yes.
More wide receiver help. So
Mhm.
first we released Kyrie Duplessis. So he was on the roster for 2 weeks. So we released him. We signed 2 new wide receivers that became available from the UFL. So the first is wide receiver Tay Martin, who played for the Columbus Aviators. 7 career games in the NFL. This guy's 6'3", so he's on the taller side. Other wide receiver we signed is Lawrence Keys, who came from the Houston Gamblers in the UFL, and he's 5'9", 175. So he's, I believe, closer to the Kendrick Law size because Kendrick Law was not that tall.
Yep.
You know,
What's your thought about us getting more wide receivers? What do you think it means?
I just think that we're trying to find the best core that we can get and create the best competition during training camp. There's no way that we're not expecting Tay Martin to come in and, catch 20, 30 passes for us this year in a Lions uniform. That's not what it's about. It's a training camp body. We're just open competition, seeing what he has. Maybe this has something to do with kickoff returns. I don't know anything in that regard, but Tay Martin's 28 years old. He's been on various practice squads. I think recently, the last game he played in, he played one game for the Titans and scored a 49-yard touchdown pass from Will Levis. And that was like week 17 or something like that when they were getting blown out. So, these are not necessarily impact players, and I don't think you didn't put it on here, but I don't think Lawrence Keys has actually seen any NFL action.
I don't think so.
He's
either.
younger, so I think he just had some training camp experience, but right. So these are not people that we're counting on. This is just depth. But I mean, are you making a different read because they've all been receivers?
I just think it's interesting that we're going that route. We're holding less linebackers than we normally do, which is interesting. And then we keep adding to wide receivers. I think it speaks to like that we have really three, counting Dortch, four, but after that it's kind of some question marks. And you got some room for guys that can play special teams. So that's my feeling is that these guys are, they want to see what they could do on special teams, whether they could do return game, the gunner, just anything that they could do on special teams. That's what I think that's how they would make the roster, right? But either than that, they still want to make a practice squad, right? They want to get in there. And then you get guys like 6'3". We don't have a lot of height. I know with some of the like half of the UFL guys that we've gotten have height. The other half are short guys that you expect to have, speed and be able to play on special teams. So I I don't think any of these guys are going to make any big differences in the season that, the average fan's going to see, but if they make special teams, then it's good for them.
And assuming they're on the roster during training camp, they're people that we look at in training camp.
Mhm.
There's always guys like that when we go to training camp practices and see them live, there are people that stand out kind of right away.
Yeah.
You're like, okay, what number is that guy? He actually looks pretty good.
Yeah, especially when they run like those gunner drills and like those one-on-one drills, they could really shine in those moments. Obviously, it's really hard when there's 11 on 11 and you're trying to pay attention to all that stuff. Like when you and I go together, it's nice because we could each tell each other, focus on this. I'll focus on line play and I'll focus on the outside. It makes it much easier to be able to, you know, get all that. But maybe we'll be adding someone new to the roster because of Terrion Arnold's arrest that came down yesterday. Uh, you know, Dan Campbell earlier this offseason said, we feel comfortable with Terrion's with the information that he's given us. Obviously, things have changed. Whether a case was built, someone flipped, we don't exactly know what happened, but my feeling is that, some people are getting plea deals and going to plea down and implicate Terrion on this. So Terrion Arnold was officially arrested. He turned himself in. He is actually currently sitting in jail right now, and he will sit there until Monday. There is a pretrial hearing, and at that point, it'll be decided whether he gets out on bond or he remains in jail for the trial. So, uh, my first question for you is, how do you feel, like your immediate feeling when you read that, and how you feel right now?
So I was asleep last night. My phone alerts go off at 9:30 anyway, but I was
Mhm.
asleep last night when all this dropped. So I got to see that first thing like 4:30 this morning. I saw the text and saw the alerts and everything from you.
Yeah.
Uh, just really, really bad news. Bad news in terms of football and what we do going forward for the Lions, but also bad news to know that it sounds like they must have enough that Terrion really did this or really was involved. And that was the
Mhm.
confusing part right away too. We talked about this, but if that's what you have is these other people that have been arrested for a short period of time, they said there were text messages that were implicating him and things like that. If they really had that ahead of time, you would have thought he would have been arrested a while ago.
Mhm.
But he's denied any involvement, obviously, but he also has not been talking publicly about it. He just wants
Yep.
to focus on football. He's not been answering any questions about it. I don't know if that means that there's more to uncover, that he's just trying to hold close. Also, the other four, so there's 6 people that were involved in this. 2 of them have pled guilty. And I'm assuming, like you said, that these are probably people that are willing to testify against Terrion for a lesser charge. The other 4 people that did not plead guilty, though, are being held with no bond. So
Yep.
Terrion's meeting or whatever is Monday. I don't know if his lawyer is going to work some magic or whatever, but the rest of these people are all still sitting in jail until they find out
Mhm.
what to do with them. That's terrible news for Terrion and his
Yeah.
future and everything. at the
It
same
is.
time, if he really did do this, and that really happened, that's you don't do the crime if you can't do the time, right? And that's
Yeah.
kind of what his NFL career could be in jeopardy.
Yeah. Man, just a young guy and just throw it all away. I mean, this is likened to the OJ Simpson thing, not like the murder trial, but like afterwards when he was in Vegas, people stole memorabilia for him. He got his buddies involved. They went to try to get it back, and that's what OJ ended up going to jail for. So, it goes to show, like, you and I as dads, like, you could have a good kid, and for all I know, Terrion's a really good kid, but it's who you hang out with, right? That can determine a lot of things. You can get in trouble just from that. So I don't know, for you parents out there, just keep an eye on who you hang out with. That's a lesson I'm learning from this story. Like, and who knows, maybe Terrion instigated the whole thing. I don't know. It's all hearsay for now, but it doesn't look good. Um, what do you think the Lions should do? Like, if you were, the Lions right now, like, we have the Cameron Sutton thing that happened, not a couple seasons ago. Is this similar enough to you that they cut bait, or what do you think?
I believe Cam Sutton was like a domestic violence issue, right?
Yeah. Hmm.
That was different than what this is. It's tough because I don't think that you just cut Terrion Arnold right away. You kind of have to wait and see what's going on, because if he is proved to be innocent and then he had nothing to do with it, it's kind of unfair look for you to jump to that conclusion and do that. And the NFL, I'm sure, will have some sort of suspension or something if he was involved. But you think about Terrion the person, you think about everything for him. He had no character concerns coming out of the draft. He didn't have anything like that. Like, this was
Hmm.
shocking for everyone. Well,
Yeah.
so you and now if you're in the Lions and you're talking about constructing the team, I think you have to plan right now as if Terrion Arnold is just not going to be there this year.
Hmm.
Maybe we'll treat it as if he got injured and he's out for the season or whatever, but you can't count on him being there at all right now. I think that's
Yeah.
the plan in place needs to be, as if Terrion is just not playing.
What do you think? So the Lions probably, obviously they're going to investigate. They want to see what evidence the police have, because I know that they questioned Terrion about this. The Lions did. They were happy with whatever Terrion story told them. So what if they find out that Terrion didn't tell them the whole story? I mean, that could be grounds for dismissal at that point. Like, you weren't 100% truthful with us. Um, you know,
That reminds me of the Kareem Hunt situation in Kansas City. Same sort of thing happened. Kareem Hunt was arrested and questioned. He talked to the Chiefs. The owner told him what happened. Comes out, I don't remember the timeline, if it was weeks, whatever it was. Came out later, they had the video evidence, and he kicked that girl outside the elevator, which is not what he said happened. It didn't say the way that it happened. So he lied to the owners, and they ended up cutting him loose.
yep.
And that was a tough lesson to learn for Kareem Hunt, and watch the Chiefs dynasty that you could have been a part of, winning
Yeah.
Super Bowls and everything, and you were a big part of that, and you blew it.
Yep. You so blew it so bad you had to go hang out with the Browns for a few seasons there. That's your punishment, right?
that was your sentence. Yeah. No, but I
Uh,
mean, in that case, he should not have done that. He kicked that girl, whatever.
yeah.
This is way bigger than that.
Oh yeah. This is
Felony
kidnapping,
felony kidnapping robbery charges is huge.
right? And it was the wrong people that were kidnapped too. That's the crazy part about all this. Like, allegedly, it's like the people that that they thought stole stuff. They kidnapped the wrong people. It's like, oh my god,
Yeah,
just
all of
terrible.
that though. Like, if you're if you're in the NFL, what are you doing orchestrating a kidnapping and robbing people
Right.
over whatever it was? I forget. They stole like $1,000 worth of stuff from them or something
No,
like
it was
that.
like $250,000 worth of jewelry. Like, it was. I mean,
That's what they're saying was stolen from Terrion and his group.
yeah.
But the
Yes.
people they robbed, I think they only robbed them of like 1,000. Like, they got them
Oh,
back by kidnapping and robbing them, but
yeah.
they robbed them of like
Oh,
whatever it was.
1,000.
Right, $1,000 worth of stuff. That doesn't make up for $250,000 anyway. What
No,
are you doing?
I know. It's just, it's
And then what do you
one of
think's
those.
going to happen? Like, you kidnap them, you hold them at gunpoint, you rob them and let them go. Obviously, they're going to go tell the cops what happened.
Right. I
Dumb.
know. It is. You don't think those things through, man. And it's just like, it's a group mentality. Like we're gonna get those back. They can't take advantage of us. And like if you get $250,000 worth of stuff stolen, you go to the police, right? And you say, hey, this,
Well, that's part of this too, is that Terrion Arnold did go to the police and they did make a report. And I guess this happened like the next day after they made a report is when they end up kidnapping and robbing these people.
that
So there's going
just
to be more coming out about this in the future. But yeah, as far as Lions focusing on football goes, we just need to act like Terrion's not going to be there, which means what's the contingency plan? What are you feeling right away? So you're Brad Holmes. You're like, okay, we're down a cornerback now. Do you like where the room's at? What are you thinking here?
I mean, obviously, the depth doesn't look nearly nearly as good as it did 2 days ago. But you kind of knew this was coming, right? And I think that's maybe why did we, maybe that's why we got so much safety depth because we can move these pieces around. My feeling is I don't think they're going to get a starter. Like I don't think they're going to go out and get a starter. There is an option to trade for. There's a couple guys in the market that could come in and start. Um, but I don't think they're going to do that. What I do think they'll do is I think you'll see some people being brought in for, to add depth to this. And I'd like some guys that played some snaps in the NFL, not like practice squad guys. I'd like to get, someone that's played in the NFL. And there's a few of those guys out there. But the other option is just replace in-house. You got safety depth, you could move around, you could do. So what do you before we talk about some of these names, do you think it should be done in-house? Do you think it should be, we get trade for a big name, or do you think we should just get, some extra depth?
We keep having these injuries come up and keep having these issues. Don't know what's happening with Kirby. Brian Branch is out. We have those people in place, and now we've just taken another blow. It only takes one more injury before now we're panic. I don't like that word, but for lack of a better word, panic signing, because you got to replace them quickly. In the middle of the season, that's when you're kind of getting the scraps. The guys that aren't on rosters, we're taking people off, we're figuring out what we can do and trying to put them in place. And then some of these guys come in and have to start. Try to avoid that situation by bringing them in right now. I feel like there are free agents out there. I feel like we do need to sign somebody.
Mm-hmm. So I'm gonna go through the free agent names. I just went to Spot Track, just put the free agent names. These are sorted from their previous, like what they were paid previously. So these are the top, I don't know, I have 10, 12 guys that I have, and they're based on their pay. So they're all on the market. I'm just gonna read the names, and then I want you to tell me if you're interested in any of these guys, and then we can kind of debate that. So Marshawn Lattimore, Trayvon Diggs, Jimmy Ward, Kenny Moore, Tre'Davious White, Jeff Okuda,
Oh,
Nazir Johnson, Adoree Jackson, Chris Boyd, Rasul Douglas, Artie Burns, Nick McLeod, CJ Goodwin, Michael Davis, and a name we're familiar with, Arthur Mollett. Any of those names jump out to you, and I want you to consider how much they would be paid to. So any of those names interest you?
that's the bigger question right there is if you're looking at it like Terrion was our starter. If you were counting on Terrion being your starter and you're like, we need somebody to come in that can compete, that has experience, that can be a starter, that's when you need to start looking like, do we pay Marshawn Lattimore, Trevon Diggs, Tre'Davious White? Those are the veteran guys that are out there. There's no chance that you're paying Lattimore 15 or $20 million a year or Diggs. Tre'Davious White probably would be available for not that much. And that's a veteran that you could bring in there and possibly start. I think it's best for us and Jeff Okuda if we just let that die out and don't try to
Yeah.
rekindle that romance.
Yeah.
Looking further down the list, though, Adoree Jackson's a veteran that's been around for a while. Rasul Douglas, Artie Burns, a former first-round pick, C.J. Goodwin. These are all veteran guys that are available on the cheap. So I'm thinking that any of them probably could come in and be depth pieces. The question, though, is do you want one to come in and compete to be a starter? Or do you think, are you confident Rocky is in stepping in the starter role anyway? This part of that roster construction, what are you thinking? Where are you moving it around? What are you aiming for?
You
I
know.
would be okay with getting like Tre'Davious White.
Okay. Yeah,
What about you though? I mean,
I like Tre'Davious White. I was thinking about that. I'm actually okay with Rasul Douglas too. As someone further down there, I'm honestly comfortable with Rock Ya-Sin being our starter. Um, the other issue is that DJ Reed, like, what DJ Reed are we going to get? Is he going to be fully healthy? Is that hamstring going to be healthy? That's scary too, right? So it's like, I want someone that comes in, like, that's why Tre'Davious White also sounds good to me. Someone with experience, someone that we could plug in there. He's going to pick up the playbook pretty quickly, veteran guy. Kenny Moore also fits that, but Kenny Moore was getting paid 10 million last year. Is he going to want anywhere near that? I don't want to pay him that much, but if we could get him for much cheaper, that's definitely someone on there. Arthur Millette is interesting because he's already played in the defense. He's a guy that's further down the list, but he's also a guy that could play nickel. So then you could put Roger McCreary on the outside, right? You could move things around. So that name, why it's not super sexy, does fit in the sense that he's already been there. Shep called him out Mala a couple times, like that he, trusted him. So I could definitely see them just bringing him in, especially in the camp. And
yeah, if you're looking for
putting,
cheap depth, that makes perfect sense. Bring him
Mhm.
right back. He's not expensive. He already has a leg up on everybody else.
Yep.
It's just what kind of upside are we looking for?
Yeah. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with those, but there is some trade targets that are interesting. And that's when you're looking for, like, okay, I'm looking for starter material, right? And so the big name for me is Denzel Ward, like with the Browns. He's making a lot of money, like 60.9 million base this year, 17.4. So you're gonna have to make concessions somewhere, like with, you know, you know, whether we're signing Branch, Laporta, like those type of concessions, would it be worth it to bring him in? But I do like the sound of a Denzel Ward, DJ Reed combination. I mean, I'm actually really I'd probably be better happy with that than the Terrion Arnold DJ Reed combination, to be honest with you. I feel safer in that. But the money is a big knock on that.
Right. And Denzel Ward did not have a great year last year, which
Hmm.
is also more the reason why he might be available for trade because of the big contract.
Yeah.
You'd have to be banking on him returning to form.
Yeah, I wouldn't be giving more than a third rounder for Denzel Ward. And the reason why I wouldn't do that is because the money that he's owed. Like, you're
Right.
taking on a huge salary. And so I would give him up. I wouldn't give more than a third rounder. Um, but where are you at with any other trade targets that you're interested in?
I don't like looking for the trade. Denzel Ward, obviously, the upside of that would be huge. I don't like what you would have to give up.
Hmm.
I don't have anybody. I looked at like possible trade targets. There was just no names that jump out at me. That's like, oh yeah, this person makes
Yeah.
perfect sense.
A couple names that I saw, like one on ESPN's website. This was a list that came up in February about possible trade targets, and Renardo Green is a cornerback for the 49ers. Their reasoning was he got a new defensive coordinator. He was very aggressive. He had a lot of pass breakups, but he also was almost too aggressive. Kind of reminds me of the guy that went our nickelback from last year. I'm flipping on his
A
name.
Meek,
A dog. Yeah, Meek. Like, just
a
sometimes
dog,
I kind of
a dog.
yeah,
I
yeah,
love that.
yeah. That's how I remember because he is. I
You can't bury what came from the dirt.
That's right, exactly. So I it's so funny. Like, I see these names all day, and then they'll blank right in the middle of a show. But
Yeah,
yeah, so Meek reminds me of that, just being sometimes overly aggressive. But the Lions like that. They like guys that'll get their nose in dirty and get in the play. So, and he is pretty cheap. 1.3 million this year, 1.6 million next year. So he might be a guy that might not be starter material, but you bring in for some added depth in there. The other name I saw float around was Deontay Banks, cornerback for the Giants, former first round. Similar kind of like reclamation project that some people view Terrion as, like, first rounder, but not perform like a first rounder. But maybe just getting the right situation might be better. But I'm not overly enthused with that unless you got him very cheap, which I don't know if the Giants are going to give away very cheap at all.
Listen to Deontay Banks. So Pro Football Focus, he was ranked 112 out of 114 cornerbacks last year.
Mhm.
So 0 interceptions. He had 1 pass breakup, and he allowed a passer rating of 149.7 when targeted.
Yes.
And he played almost 500 snaps.
Mhm.
So
I
that's all. That's all very bad.
100%. But sometimes it's the defense that you're in. You get them in a
Absolutely.
different
Yes.
situation. And if you got, I'm saying you get them for the right price. I'm not saying, hey, we give them a fourth rounder. No, I mean, for those, you're giving up a late, late draft pick. Like they think Deontay Banks isn't going to make the team this year. And, let's cut bait right now
Yep.
and save some salary.
And the upside also, the guys that you mentioned, is those are all younger. Like they're all
Mhm.
younger than most of those free agents.
Yes.
I think those free agents, most of the guys on that list are at least 28 or older. And
Yep.
the guys that you mentioned as trade targets, I don't know how old Denzel Ward is actually, but
I
Renardo
think
Green
he's
and Deontay
29.
Banks. Okay. Well, Green and Banks are both hovering around like 24 or 25 years old.
Yeah.
They're still young.
Yep. So it'll be interesting. So if you had to bet right now, what do you think the Lions are going to do? Well,
If I had to bet, I would say that
Mhm.
we'll sign a cornerback that we either have been on the roster like Mollett or somebody that we have not heard of or not heard much about.
Okay.
A UFL guy or just somebody lower.
When do you think that happens? Like during training camp, before training camp, in the next week? What do you think?
I don't envision them moving too quickly until we find out for sure what's going on with Terrion.
Yeah.
So I would say probably within the next month.
Yeah. I
Who
would say
knows? I mean,
before
if
training.
Terrion's thing goes well and they allow him to get out of jail on Monday and his lawyer starts working on this case right away, who knows what's going to come out of that? But I
Yeah.
just don't. I don't feel like they're going to jump the gun tomorrow and sign a cornerback. If they do, it could just be a depth piece. It's definitely not. If we sign Marshawn Lattimore, it's not going to be tomorrow. It's not going to be a week
Mhm.
from now.
Yeah. I want to get them in here before camp just because the communication issues. If they're a veteran guy, you want to get them in there a couple weeks at a time so they can see the playbook, start picking it up. Um, I think it's going to happen before training camp. I don't foresee anything in the next 2 weeks unless it's like someone way down on the depth chart.
Right.
That they're just gonna like an Arthur Mollett. Like that wouldn't shock me to drop one of these UFL receivers and put him on there. Or depending on what happens with Terrion, like on Monday, he's if he gets put in, if he gets no bond, then I don't know what we do. I don't know if he gets put on the exemption list, like the commissioner's exemption list. I would think he would, um, as opposed to like force on the Lions to cut him. But if he gets no bond, then the chances of him getting cut mm, greatly increase. But depends on when that trial is too. But if you get interesting, what do you think happens if he doesn't? If he gets out, like if he's on bond, do you think he comes back to the Lions facility? Oh, like that's a weird situation too.
I don't know. The Chiefs had the Rashee Rice stuff where he was in the
Yeah,
facility and doing stuff, and then he left to go to jail and served
yeah,
his whatever 10-day sentence, and then he got out and just came back to the Chiefs facility.
yeah.
That's
I know.
weird. I don't know. He's not suspended, so I would imagine that he's going to be around the building and still doing the same stuff like he has been until hearing otherwise.
I just wondered if the seriousness of these allegations, warrants the go on the exemption list. I would think so. Kidnapping
Right.
is not like some minor offense, not like shoplifting or something like that. This
Right.
is huge.
He wasn't
Uh,
stealing crab legs.
no, Seamus. Oh, eat that W. Uh, that's hilarious. So I don't know, man. It's crazy. Detroit fan man 9899. Thanks for listening. His comment was, "So how retired is Big Play Slay?" I
Yeah,
didn't
right.
mention his name. Yeah, like he had that retirement party. That'd be funny for him to just come out and say, "I could play a little bit more."
Hey, in a pinch, we're in a tough spot. Bring him back. No,
Yeah,
that would be cool, but he's already lost a step, and I'm sure once the retirement thing hit, he's not been
yeah,
keeping in shape like that.
yeah. No, he's been at the
Cornerback is not
butt
like
face.
center. Center would take like for Ragnow, center would take a little bit to get back used to the physicality. cornerback, you can't just come off the street and decide I'm going to start,
Oh.
chasing these receivers around again. Doesn't work like that.
No, you blow out a hamstring in about 2
Yes.
seconds. Just especially if like you're used to playing at such a high level and you're gonna push yourself to the max and your body's just not gonna be ready for it. All right, so tragic news for just Terrion itself. I mean, if he actually did any of this, then he deserves any consequences that he has. But I just the fall from grace, man. Just being a young NFL player, having millions of dollars, and then you know you could face he's facing up to life in prison with this
Right.
charge. So,
Right.
oh God,
Obviously, we hope it's not true. We hope he's telling the truth. He's innocent. He didn't have anything to do with
yeah.
it. We hope that all comes out and it all works out for him.
So in-house, like we didn't talk about the in-house option. So we got, Rocky Sin, I think is probably the leader of the clubhouse right now, right? He's probably going to be there. Now, Ennis Rakestraw could be an X factor if he's healthy. He's second round pick, obviously right behind Terrion. He hasn't been healthy. He could, you know, show out in camp and all of a sudden be there. The odds are not in favor of that, but that's definitely a possibility. The other guy that Roger McCreary could play on the outside. He did last year in the playoffs with the Rams. But I think the whole idea was to have him play inside, and all of a sudden now you're pushing him outside. It's like the Amik thing all over. Amik's our nickel. All right, all our corners are hurt. Amik's on the outside, and now we've weakened another position because Amik was awesome on the inside. You get Keith Abney too as an option, right? We drafted him. He was supposed to be higher. I don't like the outlook for young corners. Like I like to have them a little more grace, a little more learning time than he would be afforded if we asked him to get out there. But Nick Whiteside could be the dark horse too. That would be a great story if Nick Whiteside would be up there. But what's your feeling? Are we gonna, we move Avante Maddox into the nickel, move McCreary to the outside? What do you think is gonna happen here?
I think Rocky Sin's going to get first crack. When they first come out training camp, the first team comes out. I think DJ Reed, Rocky Sin, Roger McCreary starting at nickel. I like Rakestraw. And we saw Rakestraw show some glimpses of some really good plays. He just can't stay healthy. I really hope for his sake that this opportunity, get a few more reps, prove yourself a little more. I really hope that he can stay healthy because I do think that he still has a chance of being a pretty good player. And then, like you said, Keith Abney drafted later in the draft, 5th round. He was projected to go much earlier. Somebody else that could get some valuable reps in and see what he has early. Khalil Dorsey is still there. Obviously, special teamer, but in a pinch when we need him, he's played in the past.
Yeah, I think one thing I feel much, especially after the minicamp talk last year, you heard Jim O'Neill talk, you heard Dan Campbell talk, you heard Shep talk. Chuck Clark is getting rave reviews from all those guys just for his ability to communicate now, which is amazing just because he's obviously brand new. We just brought him in, but the fact that he's loud communicating, I think to me that helps solidify the safety room back there. And if you had Chuck Clark, Thomas Harper back there, you could have a worse room. It certainly. I mean, would I rather have Branch and Kirby back there? Yes, 100%. But if you put Harper or Clark back there, you could move Avante Maddox up into the slot. He played decent there last year, and then then you got either Rock or McCreary on the outside. Um, I, there are options. This is not like a death sentence in there, and I know there's a lot of people that don't even care that Terrion they don't like him to begin with. I think they're totally wrong. I think that he would have been, good to have in the, they weren't going to hand him this job. I think they were going to make him work for it, but that was going to make him play stronger. I think so. The outlook was good for Terrion this year, and it still, I guess, could happen. But I don't know. Is there any? What do you think about Avante Maddox going to nickel, like I mentioned?
I don't care for that. I like that he can move around. It's valuable to have somebody that can do that. I don't care for sliding over to nickel if the plan is to have McCreary play on the outside.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
Keith Abney, if you're talking about moving him over at nickel and then you're having Rakestraw play primarily on the outside, that's going to be interesting to see where they primarily get those reps. Because they were focused on just keeping Rakestraw on the nickel last year before he got hurt, right? First year he's on the outside. Second year they want to just focus on the nickel. Now do they move him back on the outside because of the stuff that happened with Terrion, or do they just say no? This is what we've been training him. We're just going to keep him practicing at nickel.
I think he's going to be on the outside. I
He
just
should
think
be. I
yes.
think he can be,
hmm
but that's what
I,
Shep see, or why did they do that last year then?
yeah, I don't know. We'll see, but there's options. Detroit Fan Man says, I don't know. It's not supposed to be the Legion of Whom in June, but I don't think it's that. I mean, you have DJ Reed. Rock Ya-Sin we are very familiar with by now, and I think he's fully capable of, holding down the second spot. I don't think it's that. But, you add in the safety depth, and maybe I can understand, or safety problems with Branch and Kirby, and I can see
Right.
where you're getting there. But who
I mean,
knows? Kirby could.
you list the starting secondary and say Rock Ya-Sin, DJ Reed, Christian Izzian, and Chuck Clark. That kind of is like, okay, this is not ideal.
Mm-hmm.
Is it manageable? Could we win games like that? Probably, and we have,
Yeah.
but not
Mm-hmm.
ideal.
Yep. It's not 100. It's not. Not ideal is a great way to put it. So, all right, I'm
Thank
ready
you
to
for
put this.
copying me.
Yeah, you're welcome. Hey, when you say something smart, every once in a while I get to copy you. Just
Yes.
so few and far between. All right, let's quickly talk about the NFL Top 100. It's coming out. There's been a couple names been released. Interesting, Cam Jordan, who it was number 100, which interesting. A lot of Lions fans were interested in adding him. So we had already had a top 100 guy if we'd assigned him, Jacob, which would have been worth it just alone, just to make this list, right?
Missed
Uh,
opportunity.
we did. Just to review, last year the Lions had 7 guys in the top 100. Panay Sewell was the highest at 13, and yeah, Jared Goff at 15, Amon Ra at 20. So we had 3 top 20 guys. Jameer Gibbs at 27. Remember, Aiden was coming off the broken leg, so he was down at 55. Kirby was way too low for 71 for having an all pro year the year before, leading the league in interceptions. Won't be on the list this year because of his play last year. And Sam Laporta just made the list 90 at 94. That was after, I wouldn't say a subpar second year, but the numbers were better his first year. And the second year weren't as good, but 94 still. So that's where we were at right there. So my first question is, how many lines do you think make it this year?
Well, I know that Kirby and Laporta are not going to make it this year. With the injuries
Mm-hmm.
and different things that happened last year, they're not going to make it.
Yep.
So my locks this year are the ones that are already on there then. Panay Sewell, Jared Goff, Amon Ra, Jameer Gibbs, Aiden Hutchinson. I think they're all locks. They're all going to be on there. But I
Mm-hmm.
do feel like Jack Campbell should be on this list, and I think he may get on
Yes.
there. So my prediction is that we're going to have 6. The 5 that
Yep.
were on there last year that I mentioned, and then adding Jack Campbell.
Yep. Yeah. Jack Campbell, all pro linebacker. He better be on that list. I mean,
Right.
I'd be really upset if he's not on that list. So who do you think is going to be the highest?
That's why I was just gonna. Okay,
Oh,
so
you're
my order that I think that they're gonna be on there, because I said 6. So I
yeah.
think that Gibbs is gonna be the highest this time.
Oh, you think so?
So I think Gibbs is gonna be the highest. Then Panay, Goff, Amon Ra, Hutchinson, then Jack Campbell.
Ooh.
It's a popularity contest, as we know, and I think that
Yeah.
Gibbs had a lot of, obviously, he's popular. He's an all-star player,
Yeah.
elite. So I think that Gibbs is going to be I think he's going to be higher than Panay. And I'm thinking Gibbs could be top 15, close to top 10.
I think Panay gets top 10 this year.
You think so?
I think he's going to be the highest. Man, I think Jared Goff should be in the similar range as to what he had a good year last year. I know we didn't make the playoffs, and that may be a knock on him, but I think Jared Goff had a solid year. So I think Jameer jumps Amon Ra, but I don't know if he jumps Goff. So if I were going to bet, I'd be Sewell's going to be top 10. Goff is going to be in similar range. Gibbs is going to get top 20. Amon Ra is going to drop just a tad bit. I think he's going to be in the 20s. And I think Aiden Hutchinson's going to make a big jump. I think he's going to be top 30. I think we're going to have a lot of guys at the top, and Jack's going to be in the 50s range. I think that's
I
where I
think
see
that's
it.
fair.
Yeah. Um, I think it's also funny. Let's look at the rest of the NFC North. As far as last year, the Packers had 5 players. The Vikings had 4, and the Bears had a grand total of 0. Uh, what do you think that any of these teams are going to bypass the Lions as far as the top 100, like getting more than 6?
No, they're not.
Yeah.
I have my own like personal breakdown of each one of them, but the short answer just for that is no. I don't think that anybody else will tie or have more.
Okay.
And I know it's a popularity contest, so there's a chance that there's going to be people in there that don't necessarily deserve it. But like starting with the Packers, just because that's who you had on there first, I think that Parsons will get in again despite the injury, and then Xavier McKinney will both make that list. I, in my opinion, do not think that Josh Jacobs or Jordan Love deserve to be on that list again, though. Josh Jacobs didn't even hit 1,000 yards last year.
Yeah. Well, he was injured so much, and then you also have the off the field stuff that he's going to deal with going into this year.
Right.
And then Rashawn Gary was the last guy that was the last player that you didn't mention, and he's not even on the team anymore.
Right. Right.
Who else could jump in there? I mean, Van Ness played better, but I don't think he's going to make the top 100.
Zach Tom is not. I mean, they don't treat the line like that. Tucker
No.
Kraft got hurt. Maybe if he didn't get hurt, that he would be on there. There's a chance that he would sneak on there still.
And
The
for a
list
team
is
with,
completely invalid if a Packers wide receiver makes a top 100. You
was
can
gonna
just
say-
forget. You can just stop watching.
I was gonna say that they have so many number 1 wide receivers over there. It's
Yeah,
shocking if one
right.
of them doesn't make
What do you
the list.
What do you think about Jordan Love?
I think he's gonna make the list, and he came in at 68 last year. You don't think he makes the list? Do you? First of all, you said
I
you
don't think he
deserves.
deserves.
But
So
yeah,
here, yes, listen, because I just looked at his stats just to see. So he was 14th in touchdowns, 15th in completion percentage, and 13th in yards. So if you're just hovering around the top 15 of the quarterbacks in the league, do you have 15 quarterbacks in the top 100? I know you have a lot. I'm not sure exactly how many made it last year. I just don't feel like that warrants a top 100 vote.
Yeah.
But so then I looked and I was like, that just does not sound like top 100 to me. So I looked what his numbers were last year because they put him 68 last year. Last year, he was 11th in touchdowns. He was 29th in completion percentage and 19th in yards.
Yeah.
And they gave him number 68.
Yeah. Do you know what he was the year before? He was 34 the year before.
Yeah.
That was after that NFC champion, or not the
That,
NFC championship.
well,
that
right.
year.
He had a good
They-
year. The Packers had a
good
good year.
Yeah. And so he was 34. He dropped to 68. I still think he makes it. I think he's going to be lower. I think he'll be in the 80s.
I've got the
that's my
Packers with
guess.
3. That's what I
Yeah.
guessed, is that Parsons, McKinney, and Jordan Love.
All right. Vikings last year had 4. Justin
Not a chance.
Jefferson, Jonathan Grenard, Andrew Van Ginkel, Aaron Jones. Jefferson obviously going to make it. I mean, there's no way that he doesn't make it. I don't
Right.
think he's top 10 this year. He's going to drop. He's probably top 20, maybe even top 30. I don't know how far they're going to drop him.
Right.
He did not have the season last year that he normally does. Then you got Grenard, Ginkel, and then Aaron Jones was 98. There's no way Aaron Jones makes this list next year. So do you think it's just Jefferson? Does just Jefferson make it from the Vikings?
That's what I have, is just Jefferson. Jefferson saves them from laying a goose egg here. Grenard is gone. Van Ginkel played in like 10 games. He did not have a great year. Aaron Jones had like 500 yards, and he just barely snuck his way on the list before. So I think you're right on. Justin Jefferson is going to drop a little bit. Who knows exactly how far. I still think he's a top 20 player, but they kind of go off of how the season went last year and everything like that too. So yeah, he's going to be hovering somewhere between like 15, 25. But I don't think any other Viking stands a chance. Is there somebody else that you think's going to make it?
No, I don't know. I mean, Grenard was not ranked last year, and then the previous season, 48. Van Ginkel was 88th. I just don't think, because of the health of those guys, they just didn't put up the numbers last year. Yeah, I don't see that. Bears are interesting. Obviously, they made the playoffs, made some noise. There are going to be players that make this list. Did you make a list? Do you know?
Yeah,
how many
so
you think are going to make it?
just give me a minute for the Bears here.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm already preparing myself to be angry at this list and invalidate the list just because of the Chicago Bears. The
Mhm.
Bears had a good season. Obviously, they made a good run, and you have to give them credit. But if Caleb Williams makes the top 20, then this also just is invalid. I
Mhm.
get the popularity aspect of it and the recency stuff, and like how Jaden Daniels just exploded and just blew up on the list. I forget what he was now, but he was like 25 or something like that after the year that he had. Obviously,
Mhm.
the injuries and stuff, he just completely fell off. But Caleb was top 10 in yards and touchdowns. I think he's definitely going to be on the list. Very popular. I definitely think he should be higher than Jordan Love also, but I don't think he should be higher than Goff. And that's where it's going to be irritating is that if Caleb Williams having the year he had last year and finishing nearly dead last in completion percentage somehow cracks the top 10 or top 15, it's just laughable. There's no reason why that should happen. Outside of Caleb Williams, I think that Colson Loveland deserves to be on the list.
Yeah.
He had a really good year, and there's no reason to think that he won't have another one. But do you put Joe Tooney or Darnell Wright? Typically, you don't put those guys on there.
And I
Does
think Tooney's
Devin?
got a shot.
But I mean, he's been at a high level for how long? Has Tooney
Yeah.
ever made the list? I don't think Tooney's been on the list, and he's always guards typically do not make the list. And Quentin
Yeah.
Nelson just was like number 98 or something, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know. Tooney could sneak in, and he would deserve it. I think if he did. Devin Bush had a really good year last year. Do they put Devin Bush on the list? Montez Sweat does not
Mm.
deserve to be on that list, but is he on there because he's a Bear?
Yeah.
So there's, I would be irritated if they somehow have 4 or 5 players on the list because I don't even know who the 4 or 5 would be. I'm predicting just the 2. I've got Caleb and Loveland.
Yeah. I think Caleb and Loveland are the shoe-ins. I think Tooney makes. I think they're gonna. I think just what happened last year, them winning a couple games in the playoff, winning a game in the playoffs and get, whatever they win the NFC North. That's probably enough to get them in there. And plus, people wanna root for them for whatever reason. They want to root for the Iceman. Lame. So
The Indiana Iceman.
oh man, yes, the ultimate Madden curse is taking hold. I
Right.
love it. Uh,
Yes.
that's hilarious.
You can't top
So
that one.
no, you
Cover of
cannot.
Madden, and now they lose the team.
And
The
they
city
just they
team
put
is
the
gone.
city in the background, and they're just like, screw it, you're losing your whole football team to the state next to you. God, terrible, terrible. All right, man, we did it. I told you we could go an hour just on this. So next week we will do our position breakdown of the defensive line. That'll be both interior and exterior. We will have top 5 overall of that, but we're also going to, for the Lions, we wanted to put more than just 3 Lions on this list. So we'll have our top 3 edge Lions and our top 3 interior Lions. And I'm curious to see your list because the timeline's a little different.
Yeah.
And I really want to know.
I'm not saying that anymore. That's out the window. When I was
Yeah.
making this, I swear, as I'm making this list, we did 3 interior and then 3 edge. I'm making it. I'm like, there's just no way that I don't have the same list as Jason again.
Yeah.
So
We'll
I
see.
hope that we don't match identically. In the GOAT, if we match the GOAT for all the defensive line would be kind of crazy, but we keep doing it. And we have not
keep
discussed
doing
this
it.
at all. I'm going to keep it under
Yeah.
wraps until next week, but
Yeah. So quick before we leave, don't spoil anything about Toy Story 5. Did your kids like it? Did you like it?
the kids did like it.
Yeah.
So I liked it. It was okay. My thing about Toy Story is Toy Story 1 is an all-time movie. Toy Story
Mhm.
2 was pretty good, and then Toy Story 3 was great. So the first and third one are the best ones. The second one was okay. The fourth Toy Story was terrible. The fourth Toy Story I did not like. They had some funny parts. Overall, the story and everything was not a fan. The fifth one had some funny parts. The story was a little bit better. I'm not going to call it a great movie, but it had funny parts as the kids' movies do. So it was okay. The kids enjoyed it. It was Toy Story. They got to see Woody, Buzz, Jesse. It was
Yeah.
Rosie's first movie. So
Oh,
she
okay.
was slamming some popcorn and some slushy and stuff like that. She actually did better than I thought she would for being 2. So
Yeah.
it was a good family time. And now when Minions and Spider-Man and other things come out, maybe we can see those in the movie theater.
All right. was Rosie quiet during the movie, or was she
For the
loud?
most part, actually, like she got up just a little bit. She was excited during the previews and when it first got loud, but she was eating popcorn. She had candy and stuff like that. We still brought her tablet and her headphones so that she had that option too. So she watched her tablet with her headphones on for just a few minutes. She was much quieter than I thought she was going to be.
All right, well that's
The
good.
thing is, Knox always has to use the bathroom several times. And I have to get up and refill his popcorn and I have to refill his slushy. Like it just never fails. Which is why I have the weird, like the conflict. Like, man, I want to bring them all to see Spider-Man, but I can't miss Spider-Man. Toy
Hmm.
Story, if I miss 5 or 6 minutes because I'm getting them more slushy, that's not the end of the world. Life goes on. I don't want to miss a second of Spider-Man. So that's the conflict that I have there.
Let me ask you this: is ever seeing it twice in the theater ever an option for you, like that instance where you see with the kids and then you're like, I'm going with just myself to watch it to enjoy it?
I've never done that before. Honestly, it's
Never.
never crossed my mind.
Yeah.
I think most of because like the Spider-Verse movies and stuff like that, JJ and Milo were young, but not quite as little as Knox is right now.
Okay.
So it was just a little bit different. Knox, I already know. I just guaranteed that he's going to have to use the bathroom a few times. And I'm going to have to refill his stuff. JJ and Milo were not quite like that.
Yeah, I can't get up, man. There's nothing worse for me than going to a movie and then having to pee like halfway through. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I can't do it. I'll miss something, and I don't wanna ever do that. I've been to movies multiple times. Batman v Superman. I saw Superman a couple times in theater, mostly because I wanted to see it right away, and only Preston was around, and then Bradley really wanted to see it, so then I went and saw it with Bradley separately. Um, I don't mind seeing movies in the theater twice, although then I realized like I could have just bought this movie at home with what I just paid in the theater. But
Right, right.
going to the theater is a cool experience. It's worth it. But yeah, I'm not a, now. My other question is: have you ever went to a movie by yourself? I know I said you don't go to a movie twice, but have you ever went to a movie by yourself?
So funny story about that. No, no is the short answer. But
Okay.
so JJ's first movie when he was like 2 years old, we went in, man, I wanted to say Hunger Games, but now that doesn't sound right. So I don't exactly remember the movie, but it was something that me and Deanna wanted to see. And JJ, we were bringing JJ. He was still really young. He was like 2. And we get in there, we sit down, the previews start, and then he kind of starts losing it. And we sat in the
Oh
back
man.
on purpose. And Deanna was like, okay, yeah, I'm just going to have to take him out and walk him around for a minute. And I'll be right back. Well, she leaves the theater and then she just doesn't come back. So I'm sitting by myself and I'm like in one of the first seats, like by the door. And there are several people that come in and like they see there's like an empty aisle and they see me sitting there and they like start to look and then they like just, they're like, no, I'll just go to this other section down here. I was like, I'm the creeper here by myself. Like, I'm never doing this.
I don't mind
So,
it.
no.
I
So, you
have
go by yourself frequently? Like, what do you?
no, not frequently. I think the last time I went was the Joker movie, with Joaquin Phoenix, like the gritty Joker movie. I went and saw that, I think, by myself. What was really awkward about that is that so I went on a Tuesday night. The local theater here has like $5 Tuesdays. So like real cheap to go
Yeah.
see a movie. And no one else, I couldn't bring the kids to that movie. I mean, it was way too graphic.
Yeah.
I don't even know if I could bring the kids to that movie. I don't know if I showed that movie now. There's some pretty
Yeah.
graphic
Right.
stuff in there. But so you in my theater, you go on the app, you pick your seat ahead of time, you know exactly where you're sitting. So I had picked mine. No one else was around my area. I picked a spot. I get to the theater and like the theater, there's probably like 5 to 7 people in the whole theater, and someone's sitting right next to me, which annoyed the hell out of me because I'm like, I bought a seat. Like you can't. You saw my seat was taken, and then you decided I need to sit, right next to someone when there was,
Was
you
it
know,
another individual person or that was a group?
I don't know if they were with someone else or not. I did. It was so awkward. I didn't want to look over there. Like, what the hell are you doing? You sit next to me. I'm
Uh,
trying to enjoy this movie by myself, and I'm sitting next to you. I have no problem with going to see a movie by myself. I mean, I'm not talking to anybody in the theater, anyways. I'm just sitting there watching the movie. I don't like. I mean, I don't mind when someone asks me a question. Like, I don't want to be constantly be bothered, but I like to be able to just sit there and be like totally immersed in the movie.
Yes.
Um, yeah, but now luck, my kids are I always have someone to go to the movies with now. I did, because a lot of the movies that I want to see, my kids want to see. Like Disclosure Day was a real weird one because Preston had never heard of it. I had him see the trailer, and I was ready to go see. I was like, I'll go see that one by myself if no one else wants to go, but Preston wanted to go, so it just worked out. I mean, it is more fun. Um, to go with someone afterwards because then you could talk about the movie, especially if it's a superhero movie. We could talk about like the Spider-Man one. I cannot wait to go with my kids, like just to be able to. I'll watch all the new rock stars, all those YouTube channels. I like heavy spoilers, like those type of things. They'll break down all the Easter eggs I missed.
Yeah.
I do love watching that stuff afterwards. But yeah, it's good. Oh, one thing I was gonna do yesterday that I couldn't go to was the Tom Grossi thing, and I thought that he
Oh
was in
yeah.
Detroit. I would have been fun for like it got changed to 4 o'clock. It was later in the day, but then it got changed to 4 o'clock, which is obviously right when we're working. But it was at Hockey Town at Cafe. I thought it would have been fun to go up and meet him in person, especially after us having him on the show last year. That would have been cool.
Right. No, missed opportunity.
Yeah, he's raised almost $700,000 for St. Jude. He does 30 stadiums in 30 days, 30 teams in 30 days, which is
Awesome for him.
crazy. Can you
Doing good
imagine
stuff.
getting on an airplane or traveling? Oh my God, that'd be so tiring after a
I don't
while.
want to do that. Yeah. Right.
Well, you think about that, and you're meeting 30 different fan bases in 30 days. Like, how do you keep up that energy? Like to be excited. I mean, he obviously has a lot of energy. Maybe that's just his personality. But man, me
I
like
guess if you have a tour bus, like if you have a tour bus and you don't have to drive or whatever, like they're just driving
yeah.
you, like you're just right on, you're hanging out in the tour bus. That would be kind of a cool experience to do it like that. But you can forget about getting on airplanes repetitively and
on-
rushing to each
Oh,
place and trying to relax for a little bit. And then you're right back on, on the road back in the airport again. I don't want to do any of that.
right. And just like I mean, I like meeting people and talking with people, but man, you can also be in some awkward conversations that I just wouldn't want to be a part of either, and like just be stuck there, and then I got
Right.
to go to another fan base, but whatever, man. It's really cool that he's doing that for raising money, and the St. Jude just hopefully by the
Absolutely.
end he hits 1 million, so that'd be cool. But all right, man, I'm ready to sign off. Unless you got anything else.
I'm ready to go.
All right. I want to thank Dan Pask, who's always in the chat. Detroit fan man, thanks for joining us. And anybody that didn't chime in, thanks for watching us live. And if you're listening to this afterwards, send us a comment, hit those 5-star reviews on Spotify, Apple. We'd love to see that number grow. So appreciate all you guys. For Jacob, I'm Jason. Let's